Hey guys, welcome back. Marcus Davis here, and thanks for joining us for another episode. Today we're going to be covering organization. Well, yesterday I turned 40, so this is a perfect episode to do after turning 40. And the reason why is because as a young man, I spent most of my life not caring about organization. But I could tell you over the years of producing music, one of the most important lessons that I've learned is that organization is by far the most important tool you need to continue to evolve properly as a music producer, because part of being a record producer is making thousands of tiny little decisions. And each of those decisions are just easier to make if your sessions are organized. So today what I'd like to do is kind of take you through my template setup for music production. So before I start any project, no matter what genre it is, I have a basic setup for music production that just has got all of this stuff incorporated into the software so that I can quickly get in, know exactly what I'm looking at, move fluidly through the software. And the most important thing for me is I don't want any of this technology to get in the way of creativity. So I'm just going to walk you through what I do to keep that technology out of the way of my creativity. So for all of you starting out, don't take several years to figure out. The organization is by far one of the most important things that's going to help you get that sound you're looking for. Do it today, and I'm going to show you just how to do it. So what I want to do today is take you briefly down my, production template, if you will. And the idea is, it doesn't matter what software you're using. There should be some ideas you can kind of get from what I'm doing here that you could possibly apply in whatever software you're using, just to keep things easy and smooth flowing. So one of the things you're going to notice first off in my session is that I utilize track stacks. So this vocal stack here, which is the first thing in my chain here, is a track stack. So if I click on this little arrow, it drops down 3 additional tracks, one that's panned left, one that's panned right, one that's up the middle, and then the stack is labeled vocal stack. So the reason for that is organization. So I can open this up, record vocals when I need, close it up, and it's displayed as one solid line here. And also, if I wanted to create another 3 vocals that also all had the same effects on them, I could just click on the vocal stack and I could duplicate the vocal stack. And now I've just duplicated 3 new additional vocals, 1 up the middle, 2 on the side, that have also been bussed to their own EQ, compression, delay, and all that other good stuff. So if you look at my mixer here, now I have 2 vocal stacks, each of which have their own set of 3 vocals bussed to them. So for those of you that are Logic users and you're wondering how to do that, it's really easy. So I'll show you really quick. So what we want to do first is just create some new tracks. So I'll create 3 tracks. So I've got 3 new tracks here, and I'll just bring them to the top of the session so that it's easy to see. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure all 3 of those tracks are selected. So I'm holding down Shift and selecting, and then want to right click or left click. I'm not sure how that works, but in my case, I'm using a PC keyboard. So I hold down Control, I click with my left. So when you get that sub menu, you just want to make sure you can find Create Track Stack. You select that, and it brings up another little quick page here. And it's asking you, do you want a folder stack or a summing stack? The only difference between a folder stack and a summing stack is a summing stack puts them in a folder and then also busses them to one fader so that all 3 of those tracks can be controlled by one fader. You could also apply effects on that one fader that would then affect all 3 of those tracks. Whereas a folder, it's going to still create a folder, but all these tracks will be independently affected, and you would have to control the volume levels independent. There'll be no fader for that. And so as we work through, I'll just delete this. As we work through my session, you'll see that I'm utilizing track stacks, and that's why and that's how. So for vocals, I'm able to put 3 vocals in a folder. I'm able to have them on a channel that I'm then able to apply a couple of just basic effects so that the playback sounds good. And we've talked about that before. Also, It's got its own send, and you'll see later that I've also created some reverb and delay sends that I can quickly send those vocals over to so that the playback has got that bang on it, if you know what I mean. So there you go. So that's the vocal stack. I have a piano in here. This is just a MIDI piano that's triggered by my MIDI keyboard. And the idea here is a lot of times when I'm just tracing ideas for a track and I'm working out chords and things like that, I like to use I like to have a piano that's very quick. And not just that, sometimes I'm using auto tune and things like that on vocals, and I need to quickly know what the key is. And so having a piano already in the session where I can find the key real quick allows me to set the auto tune for the vocals. You'll also notice that on my MIDI effects here, I have a chord generator. This is called Scalar. Scalar is great. Basically what it is you can pick presets of different types of chords, and then what can happen is you can then, just by playing one note, you're playing chords. And there's all kinds of scales here. There's all kinds of like different types, blues. You can pick the key, and you can quickly come up with some really sophisticated chords just by pressing one note. And I like to have that on the thing. I can always turn it off if I'm not using it. I can just power it down, and then it's just a regular piano. But there are times when I'm recorded a melody and I'm not sure if I want to go the jazz route. I'm not sure if I want to go the blues route. I'm not sure if I want to go the pop route or the dance route. And so it's kind of cool, especially because I'm not like an expert piano player, just to kind of get a feel for those different genres. I can set the key in Scalar, and then I can just kind of play one note at a time and see kind of what kind of chords are created, what kind of colors are created around my melody. And then once I kind of got something I like, I can really kind of dive in and arrange around those chords or recreate those chords for real, whatever. But it's just a great tool to have instant access to. So on my piano, I've already got that set up and ready to be turned on and active. Next in my chain is the MPC. So I actually have I have the MPC Studio here, Studio Black, which I absolutely love. And it comes with software that is also loaded on the channel. So if you look over here, you'll see that as a VST plugin, I can bring up the MPC software. I've got all kinds of sound pack libraries in here. It's got its own sequencer built in. All my sounds are stored, drum sounds and samples are stored inside of the MPC software. So it's ready to go. It's on the channel. I do a lot of my initial tracing when it comes to outlining the beat and just the direction I want to go in production-wise. I do it on the MPC. The MPC's got some incredible features. The software has some incredible features that aren't necessarily as easy to do in Logic. And if you'd like me to do a video on that, just let me know and I can walk you through my favorite things about the MPC software. Ultimately, though, everything ends up in Logic for arrangement purposes. So it's nice to have the MPC brought up. It's nice to have the MPC software already on the channel. It makes it active instantly. I'm ready to roll. I can just open up that software, pick my software pack that I want to use or whatever my templates are in there, and I can start sequencing right away. So it's nice to have that ready to go. Next, I have my TR8. For those of you who've been coming back to the channel, you've seen me do a couple videos involving the TR8. And I recently did a video of how I incorporate the TR8 into Logic. And long story short, I have a track stack for the TR8 as well, because through USB, I'm able to record multiple tracks at one time into Logic. And so what I've got set up is if I open up my track stack, all those separate tracks are already lined up, from the bass drum to the snare drum to the low tom, mid tom, high tom, all the way down. The same way it looks here is the same way it's labeled there. And the outputs are already set. The inputs, input 3, input 4, they're already set up. So I don't have to do that every time I get ready to record something in. And so when I'm ready to record something for my TR8, I simply open the track stack, arm all of the instruments that I'm using, hit record, and hit play there. Once everything is in, I can line things up if I need to, get them where I want them to be, kind of create a quick little mix in here, and then close it on up. And it's just one track that you're looking at and not, 13 tracks, right? So it's just one clean track ready to go. And if I need to go in and do more arranging, I can just open up that track stack, make the adjustments I need to make, and then close it back up. Right? Real easy, real fluid. Next, this is the Minotaur. So the Minotaur, give you a close up. The Minotaur is my go-to for bass a lot of times. It's a completely analog unit. It plugs up through a power cable, and then I plug up a mono XLR cable or a quarter-inch jack. Sorry, a mono quarter-inch jack into my sound card. And but one of the great things is it has its own software that comes with it that works within Logic as well. So if I was to click on the Minotaur track and then open this software, it has its own software that allows me to work out my presets, set everything how I like it, and then record a MIDI track onto this track. And then once I got the arrangement how I want it, I can then create an audio track underneath that MIDI track and record that information into the software. So just having a MIDI track up and ready with the Minotaur software on there so I can quickly open it, set my settings, and record it as MIDI is incredible. It makes it much easier to work with analog gear, and it's already set up and ready to go. And I've got presets for the Minotaur in its software, so I'm able to move really quickly. It doesn't slow down my creative process much. The next thing is my MS-2000, which is a completely analog board as well. Actually, it's a digital board, but I'm plugging it up analog into my software, and I use it as analog gear. And it's just set up to just record in, no MIDI. I just play stuff in live that I like. I usually use it for ambience, pads, things that don't require a whole lot of skill. And I can just kind of play basic chords and get stuff into the computer quickly. So what you'll notice is on the track, I've already got the input set up. 7 and 8, they're already set up. Anytime I load my template, they're always going to be those outputs or those inputs are always going to be at 7 and 8. And the reason why is because that's where that keyboard is plugged up into my sound card. It's plugged up into inputs 7 and 8. So I don't have to think about it. When I'm ready to record something there, all I got to do is go onto this track, hit record, pick a patch, and play. Then if I want to add another patch, all I got to do is duplicate. So in my case, that would be Windows D because I'm using a PC keyboard. And now I've got another track or another instance of the MS-2000. And so what I can do with that instance there is just pick another patch, play something else. And the outputs are already set. Sorry, the inputs are already set. So it's really great. I can keep duplicating that as many times as I want, and everything is already set up and ready to work, okay? So that's why that is always ready to go and inside of my template. Last but not least, I have a Mini Nova, which is outside of the view of the camera right now, but I regularly use it. It's another small keyboard that does vocoding, has all kinds of cool electronic dubstep type sounds in it. Really, really great for modern dance production or electronic production. I love that keyboard. It's a small keyboard, so when I get ready to use it, I just sit it on my desk. It operates through USB. I'm able to plug the USB cable in, and it's powered through USB. It also sends MIDI information into Logic, and it also, much like the Moog, has its own software that allows me to make settings, save presets, all those good things. And but also, much like the Moog, needs to be recorded in analog. So what I do is I record the MIDI information on the MIDI channel. Once I have the arrangement how I want it, I create a new audio track underneath it. I route that audio track to recognize wherever I've plugged in my Mini Nova, and then I record. So yeah, that's pretty much my production setup that allows me to fluidly work with all of my external gear, as well as I've got a whole bunch of software synths, native instruments, galore, and all of that. I never know what I'm going to use. It really just depends on the track. So you won't see that stuff in my template. I'll just open up another empty MIDI track and then just, grab a native instruments sound or whatever. But I also have an orchestra template. In my orchestra template, I have about 100 different tracks and instances of native instruments and all different kinds of samplers and things like that that are all already prearranged with the sounds already on them, from violins to violas to cellos to everything already arranged to the different articulations of those sounds. So that session is, when I open it, it's 100 tracks deep already before I even start sequencing. So that's for another day. But there are multiple templates that I use. But when I'm just getting in here and I'm making a modern groove, this is my template. When I'm getting ready to focus on just recording vocals, I have a completely separate template. Again, these templates are up to you to decide based around how you work, what your workflow is, and what's important to you and what you need to have and have accessibility to. And all my goal is here today is to encourage you to take the time to understand your workflow, to understand the tools around you and the way that you use those tools, and to set them up once correctly and then save them as a template. So the way you save them as a template is you can go to File. Once you've set this all up, go to File, Save as Template. When you go to File, Save as Template, another screen will pop up. It will ask you where to save it, all that good stuff, what you want to name it, you will name it. And then when you open up your session, at the top of the session in the templates section, your template, named whatever you named it, will show up. And then you can click on that. Your session will open exactly how you want it to open. And you'll have everything that you need as far as the sounds. If there's any effects that you like to route stuff to, that'll also be in place. So I've got a reverb, I've got a delay already set up with Manny Reverb and Manny Delay ready to go, just in case I decide to start working on some demo vocals and tracing some melody. I can quickly send that stuff over to a reverb and delay and get the playback sounding inspiring. And again, this is just my way. Come up with your own. But hopefully you can take some of the ideas here and some of the suggestions here and make your own secret sauce. Thank you. Let me know if this is helpful. All right, so thanks for joining us. I hope that was helpful to you. Just keep in mind that it doesn't matter if you're using Logic, doesn't matter if you're using Pro Tools, doesn't matter what you're using software-wise or hardware-wise, that you want to take the time to figure out how this software and hardware can help make your life easier you want to do whatever you can to get the technology out of the way as quickly as possible so you can just be creative. So dive in, learn the extra little settings and the extra little advantages that some software offer with regards to organization. It's going to be key in keeping your sound fresh and also allowing you to just make crucial decisions throughout the process. These templates and these things that I'm showing you are just ways to ensure that through this process and through your growth, you're able to be organized and professional, and you're able to, hopefully I'm sparking something that's going to encourage you to figure out your own secret sauce with regards to how to set up your sessions and how to stay organized. Thank you. Remember to subscribe. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about that you see here, or if you have any questions regarding my process or regarding my setup, by all means, leave it in the comments. I would love to share. You guys take care. Be safe.